Welcome, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us from wherever you are joining us from. Really happy and excited, but really excited to be doing one of these. This is the first like co-branded partner-based webinar that we've ever done at FTF, and I'm thrilled to be doing it with Blake from RicketyRoo. So today we're going to be walking through link building for local relevance and topical authority. There's a handful of examples here that are more meant to drive discussion and provoke some thought. And I'm really hoping that sort of toward the end of this, not just questions, but we can get into some discussion, because I think, a lot of the folks on here, based on what we saw come through from the RSVPs, are really specialists in local SEO. And there's probably a lot of insight and a lot of perspective that a lot of you can bring to the table to make this hopefully as much of a knowledge share for everybody here, us included, as much as possible. So without further ado, here we go. So what is the most overlooked aspect of local link building? This could probably be said of all link building, but I feel like local takes a little bit of extra creativity. But in my opinion, it's planning. And this is one of my favorite quotes of all time from Mr. Lincoln, which is, you're probably familiar with it, but give me 6 hours to chop down a tree and I'll spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. I think that bringing that same sentiment or perspective to local, like trying to build links, the good links, the links you want in local, is super important. So really being aware of some of the factors that we're going to go over today, and then using them to adjust your strategy and your approach for how you're going to go try to earn links, either for your local pages, your local sites, or for your clients. Obligatory bio slide. This is all the stuff that I did. Sold my soul to Google. That's probably the most important thing on here. And if you didn't know, I'm from the future. I'll let you introduce yourself, Blake.
Come on. You did such a good job. So my name is Blake Denman. I'm the president and founder of RicketyRoo Inc. We're a local SEO agency based in Bend, Oregon, fully remote. I'm also the creator of verygoodlocalseo.com, just a resource website where I'm publishing essentially everything I've learned over the almost 13 and a half years of doing local SEO. I also have lots of experience on The Office. I know more about The Office than you, guaranteed. I know a lot about Ron Swanson. If you have ever watched Parks and Recreation, you're familiar with Ron Swanson, his stoicism, and how he eventually started his own company called the Very Good Building Company, hence Very Good Local SEO. So the entire website's more themed around Ron Swanson. But I have lots of experience in local search and potentially why your website isn't ranking in the local pack.
All right. So baseline stuff, obligatory stuff. How important is link building for local SEO? These were the two numbers that, after lots of digging, I was actually able to come across, and they're not even from a giant population data study. They're from a survey. That is the source of the survey down there. Funny enough, one of the 19 contributors is Blake. But these are pretty spot on in terms of just making sure that, if you're not currently considering link building, and we're going to get into specifically the types of links or how to think about links for local. It's a big deal that a lot of the people who do it, a lot of the specialists, probably many of you on this call, really prioritize in terms of where you're putting your client's budget and energy. So it wasn't always understood as the case. There was a time back 7 years ago, almost 7 years and a month or so ago, where people were convinced that, there's all these updates and there's penalties, and often companies that incur penalties or experience a drop in rankings don't have a clue as what they've done, especially blah, blah, blah. This leads me to a novel proposal, perhaps for local businesses. What Chris Silversmith goes on to say is that the best approach for building links for local is to not do it. But again, times have changed. So we wanted to give some examples in the wild of some of the points that we're trying to get to with what we're presenting on today. So this is a cool one that I liked, and I dive into this a little bit further. But the SERP for bankruptcy Dallas, what I thought was impressive here, and the reason I wanted to highlight this specifically, was that these two local sites here, these two local attorneys, are outranking some pretty significant results. If we look at the txnb.uscourts.gov, it's not that surprising. The intent is probably not being matched there, but in terms of like the actual local pack, outranking FindLaw and super lawyers, and just underneath Upsolve and Justia. What's really interesting here that I wanted to call out was if you look at the amount of links, not just the diversity ratio in terms of how many links are coming from unique domains, but the actual just raw number of links here for Lee bankruptcy versus the sites that I highlighted, where the total links for Lineart are 133 and the total links for Judith Swift are 199 respectively. What's interesting here is if you look at the top, so if you sort descending by DR in Ahrefs, and you look at the types of links that have the highest DR for Lee bankruptcy, these are all topically relevant sites. They're law sites, law directories. These are good links to have, but they're not super focused on the local aspect or the geographical component. Opposed to if we look at Lineart Law and we look at their top rated links, they still have those directories mixed in here, but their highest DR links are actually coming from much more localized results. I mean, MapQuest was even in there. They've built out a bunch of individual city and profile pages with links on not Avo and Yellow Pages. Top rated local are specific profiles within their local area. City Squares, Community Walk, Augusta Free Press is a newspaper in Augusta, Texas. So all super interesting. And then if we look at the page, that's the page for the keyword that has the rankings there, specifically, they started building links to this page in April of 2018. Also coincidentally, that's when that page started earning organic traffic. Also in April, looks like about a 10-day dip between when the first link was realized and the first organic traffic started to come into that page. And then they've consistently stayed with it to go after like the big meaty local terms that you want to be ranking for. So this page cracked page 1 in October of 2018 for the term, there's a typo, for Dallas bankruptcy lawyer. And you can see here that when link building became a priority, again, if we look right here at right about here, which show me, so right before the beginning of 2018, when they started focusing and making a more concerted effort on local link building and link building in general, that was when organic traffic actually started to grow sustainably. It's really just trying to make the argument, because I feel like all of us more than anything is we know that we need link building, but pitching it to clients is hard, especially when there's not really big case studies that have been done on the benefits of building links for local SEO. So this is an interesting thing, and this is one of the main points I think that me and Blake wanted to try to get at today. Like the overarching theme of today is the way that links are weighted in the macro environment versus the micro or local or hyperlocal environment is actually very, very different. So in the macro environment, what we're seeing in 2020, it's more than anything, we started seeing it toward the end of 2019, was that topical relevance is starting to matter more and more, even more so than say like the domain level trust, not of your domain, but of the domains that are linking to you. You still want to have a nice trust ratio, but getting links from big publications and getting links from these massive blogs and stuff that have these huge DR and all this traffic is not actually going to move the needle as much as we're finding. It's just making sure that the topical relevance is there. That's not the case for local. What we're seeing significantly more of is that the local relevance or the locality of the links in terms of the relevance that they provide from a geo perspective is actually moving the needle more and having a bigger impact than the topical relevance. So I want to give you a couple more specific examples to make the point a little bit more salient. So if we look here at the SERP for Plumber Philadelphia, and we specifically look at, we're going to look at Goodman Plumbers. So these guys have a DR of 2, 653 backlinks from 52 domains. Now I want to point out that this example, these are all like individualized examples. Everybody's probably already thinking, correlation does not equal causation. That is true. I'm not arguing that. These are just examples where the things that I'm seeing across the board when we do analysis for local rankings, and I'm excited for Blake to speak about this in a few slides. The things that we're seeing, though, I am seeing represented out in the wild when I go and I look to pick apart local packs that are ranking and why they're ranking. When the data substantiates it, it is helpful, I feel like, to paint a bigger picture that these patterns do tend to exist. So like looking at, for example, Goodman Plumbers, they've got so just filtering this by linking root domains, so one individual domain, like how many unique links do they have, how many unique domains do they have links from? they only have 52 links. But when I just search those, when I just filter for show me the number of links where Philadelphia is in the title or the URL or the anchor, it's half of their link profile. Like literally half of the linking root domains back to this site with a DR of 2 are what I would call not hyperlocal, but local links, local results. As opposed to if we pick one down here at the bottom of this slide, like My City Plumbing, where they've got 275 links, so less links, but 59 domains, slightly more domains. When we pull the one link filter on here from Ahrefs, it's showing us 85 different linking root domains. But when we filter these linking root domains by the Philadelphia include, we've only got 10 of them. So a significantly smaller percentage overall. Just as an aside, just as some caveats here, this is where things start to get interesting. So this is the one that if you joined us early before we started off officially, this was one that I was talking to Blake about. So if we look here at the local relevance again, look at the site ranking number 1, the monsterminders.com. This is for dog walker, Philadelphia is the keyword. When we actually pull down all of the links, these are all pretty small link profiles. We pull down the links from each of these that are all have some sort of trust score, DR, UR, anything over 1. And we categorize them based on, is it a local link? Is it local plus topical? Or is it just topical, or is it not related at all? The one ranking number 1 has the most local only links. They also have the most local and topical, but they don't have, like, if you look at the one ranking number 10, not only do they have the most links, but they're almost all topical. Like there's a very heavy skew for top tails dog walking toward being topically relevant as opposed to being locally relevant. And I thought this was a really interesting example to see this holding up in. I'll let you take this one, Blake. Okay.
So then to kind of curtail off of that, I'm going to kind of get into some local link building. It was more generic instead of up. I lost it. How do I get it back? Should I just present it?
Yeah, you should be able to just share. I've never had to switch sharing screens before.
All right, slide 28. And I'm doing this, share. We good?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to kind of get into some link building testing that I presented at Local U a few months ago. But when I was kind of like going over all the research and the results of those tests, something I got really curious on, like I looked at, because we had so many different locations that we were testing and different types of things we were testing. And I was looking at one by one to see if there were any crazy differences. And for this particular test, I found something which kind of flabbergasted me, but it makes complete sense on the local side. So in Google Maps, for the query house cleaner Bloomington IL for Illinois, both Molly Maid and turnkey cleaners. Now, if we look at like the amount of reviews that Molly Maid has, they have 8 reviews, but they're ranking number 1 in that map pack. And then Turnkey has 34 reviews, and then Cottage Care Bloomington has 85. We know that reviews definitely impact rankings, especially in Google Maps. It's like, why is Molly Maid and why is Turnkey showing up when other competitors actually have more reviews than both of them? Molly Maid, they're a massive franchise company. They have loads of links. So like you could say, well, that's probably one of the reasons. But then looking at the organic result in that second image, both Turnkey, who, is a real small website, not anything really to brag about, and Molly Maid show up above Cottage Care. And then when you actually look at Turnkey Cleaners Ahrefs to see how many links they have, most of their links are, they've got BBB, Yellow Pages, they have 1 link from Craigslist. These are all no follows, but now they're hints. Site stats are like a web scraper, trust reviewers, Dear directory, and then this last one, Greg approved. Their domain rating is not applicable, and when you look at their domain authority, it's 0. And they got 2 links, and where in this particular case study where I was looking at like, okay, what happened to the rankings of this location in the test? Like, why did they lose 1 position or 2 positions? both Molly Maid and Turnkey Cleaners got links from this website, Greg Approved, which is a local realtor in Bloomington in the same zip code as where we're actually trying to rank this particular location. Those links came about early February, and the rankings actually happens mid-February. And if you look at that website, Greg Approved, it's a 2-page website, but this realtor, Greg, has a pretty big reputation in the real estate industry, like real estate market in Bloomington, Illinois. So I thought that was very interesting that, like, for a competitive domain, like, you know, House Cleaner Bloomington, you know, it's not super competitive, but Turnkey is actually outranking Molly Maid. And when you look at their backlink profiles, compare one to the other, you would say, okay, Molly Maid should absolutely rank higher, but Turnkey is. So I thought that was very interesting that this one local link from this local realtor had such a big impact on those local rankings. So let's talk about building some local links. Earlier this year, we did some testing. We tested the manual citation building, help rankings. Like, we used Yext for 2 different tests. With Yext, on 22 domains in their network, you can the links on the promotions area, they are page rank passing links. So we want to see, like, okay, would that have any impact? So we can actually control the anchor text, we control where we want, and where we wanted those links to be pointed to. We also built links to the Google My Business CID for 5 different locations to see if that had any impact on rankings. Then we also did generic guest posts, as well as authoritative links, which were more topically relevant instead of hyperlocal, just to see, like, hey, what would impact rankings? And then for the test, so there was 5 different tests, 4 locations per group, and we had 1 controlled group with 5 locations. And when I presented the results, like, the links had maybe 4 or 5 weeks to kind of mature before I actually looked at everything. It's now I've had some more time to kind of let everything kind of sit, and even with the algorithm update, like, what's happening. So the control group, this is for organic. Since January, there's been a 5% visibility decrease, and overall keyword progress is down about 70%. This is a consulting client who they're in the middle of, like, a website redesign. So, like, there's a lot of stuff that's kind of being worked on right now, but it's not being published until later, like until I think Q3. So nothing was done here, but, like, okay, so we had a 5% visibility decrease and a pretty substantial decrease in keyword rankings, especially if you look at, like, May 2nd, you'll see where that algorithm update hit. We just see, like, okay, an even bigger decrease in rankings. So, like, okay, that makes sense. It's a control group, nothing was done. Now, manual citation building. So on that test for those locations, we built 10 citations per, just to kind of see what would happen. Again, we have visibility decrease of total of 5%. And for anyone who's curious, this is all White Spark's local rank tracker. And overall keyword progress down 1.5%. So you can kind of say, oh, you could infer, okay, some citation building actually maybe helped, even though they still had a 5% visibility decrease, but it wasn't as bad as the control group. Yext, we had a 4% decrease in visibility, so not as bad as the control group. Overall keyword progress is down 37%. But if we look at citations compared to Yext, like, you can kind of see that first week of May, on citations, there was a decrease, but with Yext, there seems to be a bigger decrease in how those links were potentially impacting those rankings. So maybe there was some sort of more local relevance, I guess, because, like, most of Yext's network, these are just massive directories. If we kind of go to Yext, Google My Business CID link building, 4% decrease, overall decrease of like 47%. When the algorithm update hit, it kind of just leveled off. There wasn't like a massive decrease. I don't really think Yext, Google My Business, like building links directly to your Google My Business CID profile is going to help rankings organically or in maps at all. Enjoy just published research, some research that they did, I think today, on very similar results. So now we use, in order to kind of execute like all these different types of tactics, we needed to execute them in a timely manner. So we actually worked with Loganics to facilitate guest posts. Now in these 4 locations, we used different amounts too. So I think one location had 2, the next one had 3, and then we did 2, 4, 6, and 8 different guest posts. So on this one, even with the algorithm update, things have kind of been steady. The visibility score actually decreased by 2%, even though overall progress was down like 40. Like especially in keywords 1 through 3, those have actually remained pretty consistent throughout the duration of the test. And then authoritative links. So these are topically relevant, kind of relevant websites. Visibility decrease of 1% and overall keyword progress of minus like 16. And then when that algorithm update hit early May, there was a little bit of decrease, but it seems to be bouncing back. So we just really want to see like, okay, is there like one silver bullet type of like link building, not necessarily super local, you can include citations or the X as part of that, that would actually, like, if you had to invest in one thing, what should you invest in? Which kind of led me to the conclusion, like, okay, don't pigeonhole yourself to like one tactic or strategy. Like if you are doing nothing but citation building, like you're going to have a hard time ranking. You know, that worked a long time ago, but it doesn't really kind of do anything anymore. So what should we do? Like, it's always kind of a good idea to start with who your local competitors are and see, kind of glean like what they're doing. I do like Bright Local's local search result filter, where you can enter any term, change your location, look at search, and look at maps as if you were in that physical location. That bit.ly link will take you directly to it. Then the big fan of Ahrefs link Intersect tool. So like, you know, if we were DunderMifflin.com and our biggest competitor was Staples, we would see that Staples.com has 36,525 domains that are not linking to Dunder Mifflin that you could easily go after. Now, just because like your competitor has all these links doesn't mean that you need to go get every single one of them. Like, you trust your gut. Like, there's always like a gut check when you see a domain that you've ever heard of before. You go to it, and if it looks like a spammy SEO directory, it's not going to help you whatsoever. Then the other thing I really like looking at too is like analyzing top content for competitors, not to kind of see like what kind of links I might be able to kind of get off of them, but like what types of content have they published that is really like helping them, which could help us give us some insight into maybe future content to produce or like a local outreach campaign to kind of go after. And every now and again, you might come across something like this, like number 8 for Staples.com. They have 211 root domains linking to a 404 page. So like the topic of that post was 3 customer self-service tools that help clients help themselves. So you could easily like replicate something like that, go after all those domains and say, hey, you're linking to a broken page. Well, we recreate something better. Maybe instead of 3 customer self-service tools, maybe you have 10, and you could easily kind of go after a low-hanging fruit. But just like you don't also want to pigeonhole yourself with just your local market. It's always kind of good to like glean at other major metropolitan markets too, to kind of see what types of links they're building that you really think are helping their organic rankings, instead of just solely looking at your local competition. So like we look at like 1 to 3 different markets just to kind of see if there are other things we should really be considering too, or to kind of help us on the strategy side. Which then we kind of lead into like, if you've gone through your competition and you've found some low-hanging fruit, maybe there are some citations, maybe there was like the local chamber of commerce and you went ahead and did it. I'm a big fan of Affinity Categories in Google Analytics. To get there, log in analytics, you go to audience, interest, Affinity Categories, and I'll pull up like 3 to 6 months of the date range. In the definition of Affinity Categories, like users in these segments are more likely to be ready to purchase products or services in a specified category. So like these are categories your potential customers are also interested in. Like they've been on your website, Google is telling you like, here's the other stuff that these people are interested in. So like what local opportunities are available that coincide with like some of these? The number 3 result on this one is pet lovers. So a simple thing you could do is, you know, you could reach out to a local no-kill animal shelter, and they might not have sponsorships available on the website, but if you partner up with them, they would be happy to add a link to you. And there's so many other benefits, like when you kind of get involved with local charitable organizations. It feels good, like you're actually like kind of helping the local community. And if you know like your potential customers are also pet lovers, you're getting directly in front of them. And the purpose of anybody building links, like you want to increase rankings for what? You want to get new traffic and you want to get new business. So if you're able to kind of bridge that gap, like yes, you're getting the benefit of the link and the local exposure, but you're getting that local exposure directly in front of people who potentially become your customer in the future anyways. And for this result, there's 116 different affinity categories you can look through. Like there's avid investors, sports fans, movie lovers, frequently visit salons. This is an HVAC company. It's like, okay, if we know a lot of our customers visit salons, is there something we could do there? There's so many different ways you can approach this. When it comes to like strategy, this is like the first thing I really want to look at. Now, local sponsorships are pretty easy to kind of go after. There are tools that exist that will kind of help surface local opportunities, but search operators tend to work pretty well. It's completely free. So you just pull up, you just do in-URL, :sponsors, then put your city in quotes, and it's going to show you a ton of opportunities where you're able to kind of go become a part of, pay for it, and then you get a link. Now you can also add site.org to a search operator to kind of find their results even further. And your mileage is going to vary. Like major metropolitan areas, there's going to be more sponsorship opportunities in small rural areas.
And the tool for this is ZipSprout, right?
Is it ZipSprout? Yeah, it's Garrett French, right?
Yeah, I think it's called. Yeah, pretty sure it's called ZipSprout.
So like when we present opportunities to clients, like we'll say, okay, here's like everything we found. Here's how much it costs, and here's the potential benefits for you. Now, if we have done the affinity categories and we found that a lot of potential customers are runners, or they're really into health and fitness, then sponsoring a local 5K is probably a really good idea. Because if we know our customers are interested in these health related things, then if we can do the sponsorship, we get the link, we're also getting exposure directly to them. But then sponsorships, there are more benefits than just the link, right? You're getting in front of them. Yes, you're getting a link. But like, it's just something like that. I totally lost my train of thought on that. But anywho, oftentimes when you do sponsorship, they'll do like a social blast and they'll tag your business in it on Facebook or Instagram. So again, more local exposure on social. And then they'll do an email blast to their entire customer database, like thanking you for becoming a sponsor, or they'll add your logo to their outbound email campaigns, which again is getting you more local exposure. Now, local organizations, like we're going to talk like the local chamber of commerce. We do recommend like clients like, yeah, you should join your local chamber, but don't just do it for the sake of a link. Like you never know who you're going to meet there. Potential referral partners, maybe a new vendor on something that you're not really interested in. Like you never know who you're going to meet and how it's really going to impact like a company's bottom line. You just do a simple Google search for a list of business organizations in, and then city, state. And then oftentimes like the city itself will actually publish lists of these different organizations that you can become a member of. But each one's going to have different requirements and different costs. So like you don't have to go join every single one. Pick one, maybe two, and test out and see what happens. Now this one kind of concocted last year at MozCon. I was talking with Darren Shaw and I were walking to get ice cream, and I just kind of pitched him the idea. That's something I've been kind of thinking about. Like it's been recommended in the past to like write a local, like a testimonial or a review for a local vendor, like your CPA and accountant. If you have a cleaning company that comes to your now empty office because of COVID, offer them a review and they publish on the website and you get a link. Well, like, why don't you ditch the short form testimonial and offer them like a mini case study or a guest post on the website, where in that first paragraph, you're going to talk about like who you are, what you do, and then it'll lead to how that local vendor has helped your business. And anytime it's been pitched, it's always been with like well-received ears, and they automatically publish it. So you get that link. And they're also going to publish it on social media, and they might even email it out to their customers, saying like, oh, you know, we love our customers. Check out this review from Dunner Mifflin. It's pretty easy to do. The only requirement is like you need somewhat of a relationship with that local vendor. You can't just outreach to somebody like an H&R Block. You can say, hey, you did my business taxes 10 years ago. Here's a review for you. Please publish it on your website. It's not going to happen, right? Like we have to think like Google's like real intent with local is so much different than like traditional results. We'll get into that in a minute. Which like the biggest tip is like, you know, be like Bob Vance from The Office, right? Like build a better local brand. Like any opportunity Bob Vance had, and any opportunity he had to plug who he was and his business, he absolutely did. In the show, in the episode Casino Night, he donated stuff, and then in the auction he donated stuff. Like he was always looking for those opportunities to build up his local brand visibility because he saw that they were filming the show, so he was looking for those opportunities. You could even say like maybe that's why he went after Phyllis, so he can get more showtime. But anyways, like when it comes to like local search, like we have to think a little bit differently. That Google's purpose for me with local is they want to highlight what's popular in the offline world and what's popular in like what's popular offline should be popular online, right? And they have patents that back this up based off of quality score metrics, driving directions. You know, people are driving farther. There's so many different things that they have patents for that kind of echo this. So it's like, okay, how can you get more involved with your local community to build up your better local brand? Like that's where like more of the strategy kind of comes into play. Like I think that's about it on the local links. Little plug for local keyword research. Like anytime I've ever used Ahrefs, SEMrush, Moz, like any tool provider out there, like especially when you kind of get into smaller areas, you get tons of like low to no search volumes, and you go, okay, I have no idea what's going on. So we built a Google Data Studio report, and Jordan Chu and Noah Lerner helped me kind of build this too, so I have to give them credit. Where if you've added UTM codes to your Google My Business listing, all that's passing through to Google Search Console. And so we built a Google Data Studio report that will kind of pull in, so sheet one, it pulls in GMB data, and it also uses regex to kind of group keywords by category. That's the second image where you see AC, plumbing, heating, HVAC, electrician, appliance. The first one shows you the top 10 keywords by impressions from your Google My Business listing. And that third one on the bottom where it says whatever you want, man, that's where queries that weren't identified in the regex would show up. So you can actually like, and that you can see like where AC, plumbing, you can kind of group keywords by category instead of looking at 600 different keywords. The second one, the second page of the report is Google Search Console, where it's excluding Google Maps. So you can kind of see your top keywords. And then again, we're using regex to pull in category keywords, and then whatever you want, man, shows you keywords that weren't grouped into that category. And the third one is local keyword research, where we switched up the regex to look at local search volumes that have locations included in them. And at the bottom where you can see, we see air conditioning service, AC maintenance, first service. There's a city, so it wasn't included in the second because it didn't match regex. So it's completely free, and that link, like it walks you through. There's a sample, there's a copy of the report, and then it walks you through step by step of how to create this report yourself. It's pretty insightful. So, like, what are table stakes for like local SEO in 2020? Data aggregators and tier one citation sources, like, yeah, you should take care of them. I don't think you need to pay a company ongoing fees to maintain citations or to build new citations. I just published a guest post on Brian Local about local benchmarks. You should check that out, where different locations might have different benchmarks. If your average competitor that's ranking in Google Maps and organic, let's say they have 50 citations and you have 10, you might need to raise your benchmark a little bit on the citation side to kind of get there. pay attention to your Google My Business listing. Always look out for new features. If you're not utilizing Google Posts for the 2 to 5 minutes it might take you to publish one, you should do it. Look for competitors and spam listings that are breaking Google My Business guidelines. It's kind of always ongoing. Reviews are definitely important and have an impact on your ranking, which kind of gets the meme. Like, you can't outrank a shitty reputation. You absolutely can't. I don't care how great your links are. If you provide a poor product or service, like, your rankings are going to tank. And then the other thing that I would focus on is, like, don't sleep on structured data. Mainly like FAQ schema, because like you can add so much more and like take up so much more room on your SERP result. That's a big one we kind of push on. Then resources to support your efforts. So the very good local SEO is the website where I'm kind of publishing everything that I know about local search. So chapters are currently live, like ranking factors, tracking Google My Business, fighting Google My Business spam, citations, reviews, and keyword research, which I just kind of showed you. Chapters are coming soon, starting up again next Tuesday. Review analysis, URL structure, website copy, on-site SEO, technical SEO, site speed, competitive analysis, local link building, topical link building, and content curation. So if you're interested, head on over there. Feel free to subscribe. If not, I'm not a beggar. You do you. And then last but not least, if you're interested, as a special thank you for joining Nick and I today, I'll be giving away 5 free local SEO audits. And inside that audit, it would include how your Google My Business listing looks, identifying potential Google My Business spam, take a look at your reviews or lack thereof, citations, structured data, do a quick backlink audit, and then I would perform a link intersect to 3 competitors to kind of help you a little bit. And I think that's about it.